Welcome back, it's Mags, and I recently checked out this neat little game Inti Creates released earlier this year called Umbraclaw. This game kind of flew under the radar, and it's kind of astonishing how little conversation there seems to be around it. I really like the game in most aspects. The art style is gorgeous, and a lot of its mechanics are pretty experimental in interesting ways and mainly serve this overarching narrative of a cat tragically passing away and journeying out of the afterlife to try to get back to her beloved owner. Basically, the entire gameplay serves this theme of Kuon's struggle not just to get back, but also to not lose her humanity, or rather felinity, along the way. The memories of her owner keep her grounded, and the steps you take to hold on to them heavily influence the ending you get. The less Kuon thinks about her owner, the more the bloody battles consume her until she turns into something that her owner, nor herself, would ever recognize. It's a 2D action platformer as a standard for Inti Creates, but it's got some real unique features. You get 9 lives before you have to restart any of the 3 main chapters, but upon every death, you gain a new ability. It's mostly random which one you get, so each playthrough will slap wildly different builds on you. Die 5 times, and Kuon will totally lose her feline form altogether and gain a humanoid one, which plays a little differently. Sounds interesting, right? And it is. It's nice and short and sweet. Each playthrough really only takes you about an hour to an hour and a half. I spent almost 40 trying to 100% it. This game did not get a whole lot of attention, and I quite frankly get why given its short and experimental nature, but that also means there is an astounding lack of information out there online when it comes to how to do everything it asks for. And when you combine that with very specific and needlessly tedious requirements for endings and weird mechanics you have to work around that seem to throw a wrench in the process at every turn, the result is a lot of hair pulling, coupled with quite a lot of time trying to dig up whatever recesses of conversation around this game even exist. So I thought this video may serve as an entertaining watch for those who don't know about the game, and a way to genuinely put all the information out there for those also trying to fully complete it so you don't have to suffer like I did. The main thing that makes this game such a slog to 100% is that virtually everything requires an entire separate playthrough, including 7 different endings. So okay, 7 playthroughs, right? Except no, because one requires 9 playthroughs on your save file as one of its requirements, for seemingly no reason other than haha funny cat number. But even when it comes to the other achievements, not many are able to be doubled up on, save for the more basic ones you get from just playing the game, of course. And the requirements are specific enough, and definitely obscure enough, as to where there is a shocking amount of ways to absolutely screw yourself over trying to get these, and I must have run into just about every single one of them. In this video, I'll mostly be talking about how to get all of these achievements, what their exact specifications are, and how to carefully not negate any of them lest you have to play through this game more times than you have to. The bulk of your time is going to be spent getting all the different endings, of which there are 7, as well as Claudius's hidden dialogue. And for the love of God, don't try to save scum. That was my mistake number 1, because one of these endings requires a save file with every single other ending already registered on it. So each of these will be its own entire playthrough on the same save file. I also recommend saving a copy of that file at least at the start of each new playthrough as well, so if you screw something up, you're not forced to finish the playthrough anyway, you have a backup that you can just use to start over. I also desperately urge you to spare Moenna whenever you can. She's the boss in the northern stage in chapter 1, and yeah, you can spare her by the way. If you wait long enough without dealing any damage at all, the fight will just end, but if you do damage her at any way, then your opportunity goes out the window. The fight will just continue until you kill her. That's another mistake I made because I just mindlessly started attacking her before going, oh shit, wait, I have to spare her, and yeah, this game's awful save system meant that I just had to start the whole game over at that point. Yes, sparing her really is that important. You know those special upgrades that require boss gems to get? You know, the bosses that you can't refight? You get a different kind of gem depending on if you spare Moenna or kill her. This is the only gem that works this way. Every other boss gem has 2 upgrades associated with it that just use that same gem. The second of her upgrades, which costs 5 gems, is of the sparing kind. So please don't be like me where you realize this way too late and have to do multiple extra playthroughs solely for these, because again, you can only get 1 of each per entire playthrough. So if sparing her doesn't negate an ending or anything else you're trying to do, then do it. And there's also an achievement for it. In light of the every upgrade achievement as well, as you're going through all these different playthroughs and endings, collect all the Magatamas and hope points you can, and just be purchasing them along the way. There are some good green Magatama upgrades that help you get more hope points, like ones that just literally increase the amount of hope points you get, and one for giving you some when you shadow dash through enemies. The requirements for each ending mainly hinge on how many memory crystals you activate and which form you defeat the final boss in. But as a further prerequisite, the required number of memory crystals commonly shown off in guides assumes you've already gotten all 4 secret items found in Chapter 2. What secret items? The ones you can only see and access the entrances to in humanoid form, of course. Yeah, I highly recommend getting all the Chapter 2 map upgrades with the green Magatamas ASAP, because these will let you see where 4 special hidden memory items are. There's one in each of the 4 stages in Chapter 2. But even being able to see them clearly on the map isn't enough. If you're in feline form, you will struggle to find them because you can't. You can only access them with humanoid form. Literally, the entire map layout will change once you transform, and suddenly, lo and behold, an entrance! Nothing else in the game works this way. So, just keep dying until you get humanoid form, no other way around it, and collect all of the items. These are permanent between playthroughs, by the way, so you don't have to get them every time, you'll always have their effects. These items also make certain beneficial rest stops appear in levels too, like cat food bowls for healing. The real reason you want these though is that these items reportedly modify your memory value, or whatever the hell this game detects, that determines how much Kuon remembers of her owner, which in turn changes the number of required memory crystals needed to activate each ending, which might be a big reason why using the number of memory crystals you see in guides doesn't actually work. It sure didn't for me, because I didn't know these existed, and even when I did, I didn't really think they mattered. But they do. First is the best ending. Again, these are with all 4 memory items. All you have to do is activate more than 14 memory crystals and then defeat the final boss, Claudius, in feline form. That's it. It's the easiest to intentionally get, and probably to unintentionally get too. If that sounds backwards to you, get used to it, this entire game feels backwards. The next 5 endings are bad endings 1 through 4 and the good ending, not to be confused with the best ending. These all require you to start and end the final boss as humanoid Kuon. Even though everything you see will just simply say, beat the game in humanoid form, you cannot switch to it mid-fight. You have to already be in humanoid form when you confront the final boss. This is the only requirement for all of these outside of getting the specified amount of memory crystals. Bad Ending 1 requires 0 crystals, Bad Ending 2 requires 3 to 6, Bad Ending 3 is 7 to 11, Bad Ending 4 is 12 to 14, and finally the Good Ending requires all memory crystals. Every single one. Get each area's map for a much easier time, since you'll easily be able to see where all the crystals are, but the crystals you've gotten will also be glowing, so you can recount how many you've gotten that way if you lose track. Because the game doesn't do that for you, as far as I'm aware. It's extremely annoying. And I'm pretty sure the crystal you're forced to touch in the prologue doesn't count in any of these values. And because the game wants to throw even more of a wrench in your efforts, if you've been playing this game, you already know that Locke shows up in Chapter 1 as a rival fight randomly in any one of the 4 stages. But what you may not have noticed is that every location this encounter can be in is in place of a memory crystal that would have otherwise been there. If you're anything like me, you may shit bricks worrying about whether that negates the good ending, and so when I went for this ending, just in case, I revisited the stage later and the crystal appeared again. So I got it and cleared the stage a second time before continuing. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea if you have to do this. I'm actually inclined to say you do, because when I did it, the other achievement for seeing every single one of Kuon's memories still only popped at the very last crystal you encounter in the game, which is the one at the beginning of Chapter 3. So re-clear the stage Locke appears in for the crystal just to be safe. After all of these endings, your save file should be golden now. The 7th and last ending is the hidden ending. The requirements for this don't actually have anything to do with memory crystals. It simply requires you to beat the entirety of the game on Novem mode, the highest difficulty, without ever dying. That doesn't mean no game overs, it means no dying, period. No anima revives. But that's not all. There are still 2 prerequisites. You need to be on a golden save file, aka one that's gotten all of the other endings already, and have 9 playthroughs registered in that save file. I'm so serious, that's a thing. I tried all of this before 9 playthroughs and the ending just didn't trigger. Had to dig online until I saw someone mention this weird requirement, so I did some more playthroughs for other achievements until I was there, and then it just worked. No REM difficulty, no deaths, golden save file, 9 playthroughs. There's also some hidden dialogue Claudius can have before their boss fight, which has its own achievement. Again, you need to be on a golden save file for this. This simply requires you to beat every boss, not counting the prologue boss, as Novem Kuon, also on Novem difficulty. Novem Kuon is Kuon's form when she's on her very last life, so after the prologue, you literally need to intentionally die 8 times and then beat the game. Sparing Moenna doesn't negate this, by the way. You can spare her and still get the dialogue. Trust me, that alone saved me an entire playthrough. For this, or literally any playthrough where doing this won't negate an ending, you should definitely get the rightmost green Magatama upgrade ASAP, because it allows you to customize which skills you get on each death from the level select screen. You need to have already gotten a skill before to use it, and then also spend some hope points for each one, but it's fantastic. If you have the upgrade that requires 5 Soul Beast gems from the Shark boss in Chapter 1, and the Mayfly ability, you are quite literally invincible. The Mayfly is supposed to shield attacks at the expense of the Soul Gauge, but the second Shark Gem upgrade prevents Soul Gauge loss from evasion abilities, so invincibility! Also get the Moustache because, oh my lord, it does so much damage and is crazy convenient, and invincibility means you can be as reckless as you want with it. This is all you need for just the ultimate go fast, mash one button build and get done with it. I hope this has cleared up any confusion you may have had about the endings and dialogue, but we're not out of the woods just yet. There are a few other achievements I believe need a lot of clarification, the biggest among them being perform every upgrade. This should be pretty straightforward, but Umbraclaw just loves making things complicated in very strange ways. By every upgrade, you need to purchase every red, blue, and green Magatama upgrade, as well as every Soul Beast upgrade, which are the ones that use gems you get from the bosses. Over the course of getting your copious amounts of endings and playthroughs, you should absolutely have an overflow of Magatamas and even hope points to purchase all these with. The green and red Magatama upgrades are free real estate, but you may be wondering why some blue ones are blanked out and have been the entire time. This is because blue Magatama upgrades strengthen Anima Revive skills, and you need to have gotten one before in order to get its upgrade. If you look at the Soulplane guide, it actually tells you which skill each enemy is likely to give you, so it's not total RNG. You can target specific enemies for specific skills, but you need to be careful because some skills will conflict with each other and are impossible to have at the same time. These are mostly ones that are activated in identical ways, like you can't have the Moose Dash and Cheetah Dash because they're both dashes. Some less obvious conflictions are Chihuahua and Mayfly, and Porcupine and Mantis Shrimp. So if you're anything like me, and Porcupine's one of the last ones you need, and you've already gotten Mantis Shrimp, and you're wondering why the hell you're not getting Porcupine from an enemy that clearly is supposed to be giving you it, yeah, I hate this game. But the list of skills you see in the Soulplane guide are automatically grouped this way, so all the conflicting skills will be adjacent to each other. You can also test for this by seeing if the skill customization screen will physically allow you to set whatever skills you're trying to test at the same time. If not, then they conflict. This list will also be in exactly the same order as the blue Magatama upgrade list, so you can use the Soulplane guide to see which skills you're missing by matching them up. Except for this really weird group of 4 skills for some reason. These just don't have upgrades, straight up. I can't tell you how long I tried to get the crab ability and was so excited when I did, and then realized it was still blanked out for me. That was not the one I needed. The ones that don't have upgrades are the Axolotl, Virus, Crab, and Tardigrade, which are for the most part only given by the Chapter 2 bosses. So exclude these when you're trying to match the list. Other than these, yes, you need to acquire every skill before you can upgrade them. Also, a lot of skills toward the right of the list, by the way, are a humanoid exclusive. The other very weird wrench in this process is, again, the fact that you get a different gem from Moenna depending on if you spare her or not. Her second upgrade costs 5 sparing gems, so I really hope you've been doing that. There is also an achievement for completing the entire Soulplane guide, but for once in this godforsaken game, this is extremely simple and straightforward. Every time you die to an enemy, you'll get its Soulplane guide entry, so yes, you literally need to die to every single enemy and terrain obstacle. Which sounds really tedious, but honestly it's not compared to everything else. There's a great Steam guide I'll link to below that literally is just a screenshot of every Soulplane guide entry. This person did God's work, and from playing this game so many goddamn times, you'll undoubtedly know where to find all these enemies. Just be playing in Eternity mode so you can die as many times as you want without consequence. Azure Beast Gunvolt is not required for this since he's an extra boss that was added later, but if you want the entry anyway, you can find him in the blue portal at the very beginning of Chapter 3. I always just kind of assumed this portal led back to the main hub since you literally spawned right on top of it, so I'll admit I had to look up how to fight Gunvolt. even though the portal's right there. The only other achievement I'll mention is the one for defeating every boss and mid-boss with feline Kuon. I failed this on multiple occasions despite its seemingly very straightforward description because 1, bearing Moenna negates it, and 2, you have to do this in one sitting. Exiting the game, for who knows why, also negates the achievement. You have to start the prologue, not spare Moenna, and defeat the final boss all in one fell swoop. Again, short game, but obscure requirements, which, wow, really does describe this entire game. What a note to end on, because that's it. Those are all of the achievements, besides, like, defeat Locke. Wow, I wonder how you get that one. And hopefully all of the information you may have been missing to 100% this game for yourself. I really just made this guide very spontaneously because I just went through all this and was extremely bothered by how inaccessible 80% of this information is, and also to make those 40 hours not feel like a colossal waste of time. And hopefully this worked pretty well as an entertaining video as well as a good guide. Godspeed all you completionists, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.